So, so, as I'm sure everyone knows by now, unfortunately, Stan Lee is no longer with us. And I just want to talk a little bit about Stan Lee and how he helped me become a nerd sitting right here wearing a Superman shirt. Well, let's talk about the Superman shirt first, because Stan Lee founded Marvel, right? I'm sure you're probably thinking, why am I wearing a Superman shirt? Why do you still see Superman here like you always do? Why am I still wearing these as I always do? Because I always do. I mean, Stan Lee did work on Superman as part of a series where Stan Lee did his own take on DC's iconic heroes. Stan Lee's Superman, Stan Lee's Batman, Wonder Woman, I think Cyborg. I think that's one of the first times where I saw a black Superman. Yeah, Stan Lee Superman is black. Okay, upon doing a bit of research while editing, I found that I made a mistake. Turns out Stan Lee's Superman, not black, but there are black Superman. It was Stan Lee's Batman and Robin. They're black. I got that mixed up. My mistake. I believe, if I remember correctly. Those are all like one-shots though. So I might want to read those real soon. Maybe I haven't, check them out. It's interesting. But yeah. So me wearing this, not trying to be disrespectful at all. I could have worn my Speider-Man shirt, or Ant-Man and Wasp shirt, Deadpool shirt, but he didn't create Deadpool. You see what I mean? But I chose to wear this though. I've been wearing this all day before I found out about Stan Lee, so not trying to be disrespectful, but he did work on Superman, so that's cool. Anyway, so my first introduction to Stan Lee was not when I was reading comics as a kid. It was before that, on Fox Kids. Remember Fox Kids? I got into them through, well, just all the Marvel shows that were on there. X-Men, the Silver Surfer, yeah, that. I think there was a Fantastic Four show on. It was a weird one because one of them was missing. So even the Incredible Hulk show, I don't even like the Hulk. At least not Bruce Banner, technically. But I liked everything else about that show. And of course the Speider-Man show. I liked how they were all like really good. Most of them were good. Most of them told really good stories, and they were all kind of connected and all that similar animation. Except Spider-Man Unlimited. That one looked more like a comic book, and it took me a while to get into. Like now. Anyway, it's supposed to be a continuation of the 90s Spider-Man. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, and through that, I would play the video games. I remember playing Spider-Man on the SNES. Yeah, that was my first time playing a Spider-Man game. But the first time I really felt like I was getting to know Spider-Man through a video game. It wasn't on the SNES. It was playing Spider-Man. So I played this on the PS1 back then. And Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro. And I haven't played the new one, so until I do, these are the best Spider-Man games ever. But yeah, and it starts out, they both start out the same way, with Stan Lee actually greeting the player. He's like, greetings, two believers. This is Stan Lee, and he proceeds to guide you throughout the game, tell you how to play, the Excelsior. In these games, I played them so much, even after I beat them, because you could do that back then. I guess you can do it now, but it's not quite the same. That's an air freshener. But yeah, like, that's where it started for me. I know, and that's how I really got to know all these characters, especially Spider-Man, my favorite Marvel character, favorite Avenger. Some say Spectacular Spider-Man is the show you should watch to get to know Spider-Man. That's fair, but I still say the '90s one. Like everyone's in it. We're in a Spectacular Spider-Man too, but you just can't beat that one. I don't think. I like almost everything about that show, except Blade, because I saw the movie first, and Wesley Snipes just played. Sorry, Sticky Fingers. But yeah, except that and the fact that you didn't really see Spider-Man punch anybody, but you saw him do a lot of kicking. That was cool. Which is weird, right? Because Superman in the movie, not a single punch is thrown. That's like a masterpiece. But anyway, that's where it started with me. Then I got into the comics, in school, throughout recess. We would like play Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel, read comics. And I got into who I got into before, and some new stuff. Even read the Amalgam series back then. But I took that break for a while, like I talked about before, and came back to comics a few years ago. And I'm still behind, but I still got Spider-Man and Marvels, DC, all that in my collection, my ever-growing comic book collection. While DC is where my heart lays, I like both Marvel and DC. I'm not a fanboy, even though it's very obvious. As I just said, where my heart is. I love them both. Stan Lee's style is brighter than DC's, I'll admit that. And that's one of the reasons why I really started liking it back then. That, like, primarily the X-Men and Spider-Man series. They were a brighter contrast to what we had back then, which was the ever awesome Batman animated series and then Superman animated series. That's what we had back then. That's before Justice League TV show and Batman Beyond and all that. But yeah, I watched both of those, and I like them both. I like Batman for the reasons we're supposed to like Batman and Superman. Those shows, those awesome shows that were different, but they worked together. Okay. Because Batman and Superman can work together. That's a whole other thing. I won't get into that, and they did. Again, we're talking Stan Lee, Marvel. And if both of those companion shows were good, even when it became one show, the Batman and Superman hour, it still worked. And you had that with, you didn't really have that with the Marvel shows, because as I said, every show, there were crossovers and characters showing up, and you squint your eyes, you might see Deadpool in X-Men animated series in the 90s. He made 2 appearances, very quick, no dialogue. But yeah, they got everyone in, which is how I got into Marvel. I just for me, that's how they're supposed to be. Like, they did the Dark Phoenix better on the X-Men animated series than they did with the other movie from X3. That I like the fact that they lost, but other than that, not good. And they're gonna do Dark Phoenix again. Okay, but they did it better than the cartoon. They did the Days of Future Past storyline as well on the X-Men. They did that kind of better too. And at the risk of being controversial, they did Wolverine himself better in that series than they did in the movies. The Wolverine was, I thought he was my favorite X-Men. But then Rogue. I love Rogue. She's my all-time favorite X-Men. For her and Jubilee. Who, by the way, was voiced by Allison Court, who is Lunette from Bed Comfy Couch. Also, she used to be Claire Redfield in the Resident Evil games before some stuff happened. But, the current woman does a great job now. Anyway, but yeah, those are my favorite, my top 2, formerly 3 X-Men. I liked Wolverine till the first movie came out. Good movie. Just didn't agree with the black suit, And he got progressively more and more popular. Anyway, but yeah, it's Spider-Man. Man, what? So much to say about that one. To me, myself, that is the definitive Spider-Man. Christopher Daniel Barnes, who was Mr. Brady in the Brady Bunch movies. That's the definitive Spider-Man for me. The definitive Rhino, Scorpion, Venom, yeah. Eddie Brock though. Carnage, Mary Jane, that Mary Jane. That is Mary Jane. Black Cat. I can go on. Okay. Norman Osborn. Like, who was really better? Norman Osborn from back in the 90s, the 90s Marvel era, or Lex Luthor from back in the 90s, the 90s DC era. But yeah, like every time I see those characters, that's what I see. And that's me. That's me. I thank Stan Lee for that, for creating these iconic characters and allowing them to be introduced to me decades later, like 30 something years later after he made them. I was introduced to him, and that was 20 something years ago. That's crazy. You know, I know about him and Jack Kirby, that iconic duo. Their work's different from any other work, man. Like, you know when it's those two working together, they're totally for lack of a better word, instinct. I know we're talking 90s, but yeah, like the way they did it with Stan Lee's storytelling, Jack Kirby's art, it's beautiful, man. And it's a shame that they never got to get back together, but they're both reunited now. You know, as is Stan Lee and his wife, Madam Web. She was awesome. Madam Web, I know too much about his wife, but I met her, she was awesome. She married Stan Lee. But yeah. That's, oh yeah. As one more tribute to Stan Lee, I'm gonna review a movie that he worked on. Nothing from the Marvel universe, nothing from those Marvel movies from before, because those would be too easy. I'm gonna do Stan Lee's Lightspeed. Yeah, forget Quicksilver. This was Stan Lee's first speedster that he put on film, I believe. I've seen it once. This film is I'll tell you. I'll watch it again. So yeah, that's my plan. To watch this movie, watch those Stan Lee versions of, or read those Stan Lee versions of Superman and Batman and all them. Read some Marvel comics. Probably get started on that today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. But yeah, rest in peace to Stan Lee, his wife, Jack Kirby. Marvel will never be the same, man. Ever. Excelsior is not the same if I do it.